As Yusuf stood at the edge of the cliff, staring down into the endless abyss below, his heart raced. It wasn't the height that frightened him. It was the voice in his head, a relentless storm of what ifs. What if I fail? What if I never find peace? What if Allah is punishing me for my doubts? The weight of his overthinking was crushing, suffocating, leaving him paralyzed in moments when he needed clarity the most. He wasn't a coward, nor was he weak. In fact, Yusuf was known for his sharp mind and incredible work ethic. But it was that same sharp mind that had become his greatest enemy. This is the story of Yusuf, a man consumed by his thoughts and doubts, and how he discovered the one truth that silenced his mind forever. In a quiet village on the outskirts of the Ottoman Empire, Yusuf was celebrated for his intelligence and drive. He was only 22 but had already surpassed his peers in scholarship. His father often said, "Yusuf, your mind is sharper than any sword in the empire." But what his father didn't see, what no one saw, was the battle raging inside Yusuf's mind. Whenever he tried to make a decision, even something simple like choosing between two paths to the market, his thoughts would spiral. If I take the longer path, I might be late. But what if the shorter path is dangerous? What if... This habit of second-guessing grew worse over time. When opportunities came his way, like a chance to apprentice under a famous scholar, he hesitated, his mind clouded by self-doubt. He would think, what if I'm not good enough? What if I disappoint everyone? And so, opportunities slipped away, one after the other, leaving Yusuf frustrated and angry at himself. One day, after another sleepless night filled with worries about the future, Yusuf's father noticed his exhaustion. "Yusuf," he said gently, "you carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. Why don't you go to Sheikh Hamza? He is wise and has helped many in our village." Yusuf was hesitant at first. "How could anyone help me? My mind is my prison and I hold the keys. No one can unlock it but me." But deep down, he knew he needed guidance. His thoughts were tearing him apart. The next morning, he made his way to Sheikh Hamza's modest home. The sheikh greeted him warmly and listened intently as Yusuf poured out his struggles. After a long silence, the sheikh finally spoke. "Yusuf, I see that your mind is like a stormy sea, tossing you from wave to wave. But tell me, what do you think causes this storm?" Yusuf thought for a moment. "I don't know, sheikh. I just feel like I have to be prepared for everything, every possible outcome, every worst-case scenario." The sheikh nodded. "And do you believe that through all your planning and worrying, you can control the future?" Yusuf was taken aback. "No, I suppose not." "Then let me ask you this. If you can't control the future, why do you let it control you?" The sheikh handed Yusuf a glass filled to the brim with water. "Walk across the courtyard with this glass, but don't spill a drop." Yusuf furrowed his brow but obeyed, walking slowly and carefully across the courtyard. When he returned, the sheikh smiled. "Well done, Yusuf. Now, tell me, what did you notice on your walk?" Yusuf shrugged. "Nothing, sheikh. I was too focused on not spilling the water." The sheikh's smile widened. "Exactly, my son. When your focus is on what matters, the distractions fade away. Your overthinking is like the world around you, noisy, chaotic, full of fears and doubts. But when you focus on Allah and place your trust in Him, those distractions lose their power." Yusuf was silent, letting the words sink in. The sheikh continued, "Yusuf, overthinking comes from a place of fear, fear of the unknown, fear of failure. But Allah says in the Quran, and whoever relies upon Allah, He will suffice him." "Do you understand what this means?" Yusuf hesitated. "I think so. It means Allah is enough for us." "Yes," the sheikh said firmly. "When you place your trust in Allah, you free yourself from the need to control everything. You free yourself from fear." "But how do I do that, sheikh? My thoughts feel unstoppable." The sheikh placed a reassuring hand on Yusuf's shoulder. "It starts with dhikr. Every time a worry enters your mind, counter it with the remembrance of Allah. Say, Allah is sufficient for us, and He is the best disposer of affairs. And when you feel overwhelmed, remember the names of Allah. Reflect on Trustee and Al-Hakim, the All-Wise. These names remind us that Allah's plan is perfect, even if we don't understand it." For the next few weeks, Yusuf dedicated himself to this practice. Every morning, he would sit by a quiet stream near the village, just as the sheikh had instructed. He would breathe deeply, reciting the names of Allah, and let his worries drift away like leaves on the water. First, it was difficult. His thoughts would creep back in, whispering their doubts and fears. But slowly, Yusuf learned to let go. He began to understand that his overthinking wasn't helping him, it was holding him back. One day, as he watched the stream flow steadily over the rocks, he realized something profound. Just as the water flows effortlessly, trusting the path carved by Allah, I must do the same. My job is not to control the current but to move with it. With time, Yusuf's transformation was remarkable. He began to approach life with a newfound sense of calm and clarity. Decisions that once paralyzed him were now made with ease. Opportunities that he once feared became challenges he was eager to face. His friends and family noticed the change. "Yusuf, you seem lighter," his father said one evening. Yusuf smiled. "I've realized that true strength comes from trusting Allah, not from trying to control everything." One day, Yusuf faced his greatest test. A neighboring village was struck by a disaster, and they called for volunteers to help rebuild. Yusuf felt the familiar tug of doubt. What if I'm not strong enough? What if I fail? But this time, he silenced those thoughts. "Allah is sufficient for me," he reminded himself. "If he has brought this challenge to me, he will also give me the strength to overcome it." And so, Yusuf joined the effort. He worked tirelessly alongside others, his heart steady and his mind clear. For the first time, he felt truly free from the chains of overthinking, free to live fully in the present moment. As Yusuf stood at the edge of the stream one evening, watching the sun dip below the horizon, he thought back to the man he had been just months ago, a man consumed by his thoughts, paralyzed by his fears. And he thanked Allah for guiding him to the truth. This is a story of a man who discovered that freedom doesn't come from controlling everything. It comes from trusting the one who controls everything. If you found Yusuf's journey inspiring, please subscribe to our channel for more stories like this one. Share this video with someone who might be struggling with their own thoughts, and remember, true strength comes not from the mind, but from the heart that trusts in Allah. May Allah bless you and guide you always.